अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। So we finished last class up to verse number 18, and that completed one section of the discussion where iti kshetram tatha jnanam jneyam cha uktam samastah. So this, in this way, I have tried to explain to you what is to be known, and in brief. Samasataha means in brief. It is not elaborate, because elaborate will take a lot of time, elaboration. So in brief, I explained to you what is Kshetram and what is Jnanam and what is to be known, Jneyam. So therefore, a person who understands this is Mad Bhaktaha. So Mad Bhaktaha etat Vijnaya. So a person who is always devoted to me, Mad Bhaktaha. So they say Bhaktaha, it means not a physical form, it means understanding who Krishna is. Understanding the formless Krishna is Mad Bhaktaha. So Mad Bhaktaha etat Vijnaya. In this way, a person who knows this clearly. So etat Vijnaya means the person who knows this very clearly, he worships Mad Bhavaha Upapadyate. So he is the person who is fit to gain, or is a person who is the one eligible to know me. So understanding is important, understanding Kshetram is important, understanding Kshetragya is important. What is to be known also is important. And after knowing, one has to be committed to Mad Bhaktaha. So here Mad Bhaktaha, when he says here, is committed to this Shastra, committed to the pursuit of knowledge. So only when a person's commitment is total and a commitment is 100%, then only it will benefit the person. Sometimes we have situations where a person has studied for a lengthy period of time, 6 years, 8 years. He or she has studied all the Upanishads, all the Vedas, all of the texts, Brahma Sutra, everything. But still, the person is not able to benefit from the study. So, Jnanam should occur. But Jnanam does not occur. Why? Because there is some Pratibandha. So, Pratibandha means there is some obstacle. So, the obstacle, there is some obstacle either in the understanding or in the total pursuit, or there is some inherent doshaha which one has to rectify. Sometimes we do everything possible, but then sometimes we mistake small things. We ignore the fine prints. So we go through many times the same solution again and again, and we are not able to find what is causing this particular problem. So what do? You keep revising again. You keep revising, go through all the steps what you have done, and understand the cause of why that Shastram is not able to benefit you. So it's only a small adjustment, not a very huge adjustment. Because the person studying already knows the text, knows everything, he has studied properly, but somehow the benefit is not being given to the person. So it is only because of Pratibandha. There is some obstacle somewhere there. Somewhere there is a choking. So you'll have to know where the choking is, and then you have to clear the choke. Once you clear it, then it will be very clear, very beneficial to the person. So the word madbhaktaha etad vijñāyaha madbhavaha upapadyate. So the madbhakta, madbhavaha, both are very important words. So madbhakta means you be devoted to me. So devoted to me means you are committed to studying Shastram, committed to the pursuit of knowledge. And madbhavaha means you have to have the right condition. Madbhavaha. So very important to have the right attitude also. So commitment is important and also the attitude is important. So without the right attitude, commitment cannot come. So, and for something to continue for a very long time, one needs to have the right perspective, right attitude, and then attitude will bring you commitment. So that's what we saw in the previous class. Now in this verse number 19, he now takes up a different topic called Prakritihi. And Prakriti, just to summarize, just to introduction what Prakriti is. Prakriti is called matter. And it is a modified form of the consciousness. Modified form of consciousness. And Prakriti is the one which is responsible for the samsara. Prakriti is the one which is responsible for the samsara. According to the Advaitic people, Prakriti is Mithya. Prakriti is as though existent, and Prakriti doesn't have an independent existence outside of the Purushaha or consciousness. See, matter does not have an existence of its own. So for matter to come into existing, something should have been there already. So in order for the pot to come into existence, there should have been already a clay. The pot cannot come out of nothing. So the pot is a modified form of the clay, correct? Just as the wave is the modified form of the water. Without the water, can the wave exist? Or can the ocean exist? It cannot. So the same way, the physical body also is a product of Prakriti. The physical body, along with the sensory powers, sense organs, manaha, buddhi, chit, ahankaraha, all of them are products of the Prakriti. So they are modified from the original substance called the Purushaha. In fact, in the Purusha Sutta Bhashyam, if somebody is attending, I don't know who is attending the class, but if you see, there we talked about how this Purusha gets modified. So from this Purusha, everything came into existence. Yat Purushena Havishaha. So this Purushaha is same thing, talks about Purushaha and Prakriti. And Purushaha is Anadi, thereby Prakriti also is Anadi. Because Prakriti or the matter doesn't have independent existence. So how can one resolve this false identity? It is only by gaining knowledge. Avidya is Anadi, the beginning, but it can be ended. it can be ended by having gained jnana. Whereas the Sankhya philosophy or the Bauddha Madaha, or there are different philosophers are there who are called Nayayikas or the Purva Pakshaha. So Purva Pakshaha are the people who are from the opposite side of section, where they do not believe in this kind of theories. According to them, Prakriti is existing real, and Purusha is the one which keeps changing. See, the completely opposite way of looking at it. According to them, Purusha is called the Atma. So Atma, there are many Atmas. So according to them, Atma can be Suresh Atma, Sridhar Atma, Sheshadri Atma, Gopalji Atma, all who is present in this class, 8 people, 9 people, all have got different Atmas. And all the Atmas are different, and Prakriti is the one which does not keep changing. So if Atma keeps changing, so what makes Prakriti change? Well, Prakriti is matter, and all these people are changing, correct? So what is that principle by which changes? They are not able to explain, because they are completely understood the other way. Whereas that's why we do not discuss a lot about this theory. Some of them are Tarkavadyahan, they are all very logicians. It has got very illogical understanding, and we just brush it off, saying that, look, you are not really understood what is they're talking about. So Prakriti means that which is available for creation. I'm just giving a summary, then we go to the verse. But Prakriti is the one who is responsible for all the creation. So whether it can be a pot, it can be mirror, it can be something else, this Prakriti has got all the potential to create every object in this universe. So together with the Purushaha, they are called Sattaha. They are called Ishvaraha. So they are called Ishvaraha because that which provides the existence for the creation, and these two are the causes. So they both have the status of being the cause. Okay. So Maya is the basis for the Prakriti. So Maya acts upon this consciousness and it transforms itself into Prakriti. So Vikshepa Shaktihi, Avarana Shakti. So it covers the jnanam which we have and projects an image of something which is not there. Example you will see is the Rajju Sarpa Nyayaha. Rajju Sarpa Nyayaha means Rajju means the rope, and snake means it's a snake there. Now, when a person looks at a very dimly lit, in the garden or anywhere there, he mistakes a tube or maybe a rope to be a snake. And then he starts to shiver, he starts to fear, assuming that there is a snake. But in reality, there is no snake at all. But what is it that the person thinks there is a snake? It is because of avidya. Because for that moment of inspection or looking at it, at that time, the rope, which was just a rope, harmless rope, appeared to be a snake, and then the person starts to think it is a snake, he trembles, he fears. So what does it do? He consults somebody else. One wise person comes and he says, I have got a snake in my garden. The wise person says, it is not possible. Maybe you have mistaken something for the snake. So let me go and help you. You also come with me. So they both, the jnani goes in front, the torch. The torch represents the Shastra. And the light which is emanating from the torch is the jnana. So in the wake of the light which is coming from the torch, which is the Shastra, the rope, he points out, look, where is the snake? The person says, yes, I saw a snake. He says, there is no snake, it is only a perception. There only your imagination, there is a snake there. So were there two things in the beginning? Was there a snake and a rope existing at the same time? And when the person showed that there's no snake there, did the snakes separately go off from the rope and then disappeared? Did not. The snake just got merged into the rope and the snake loses its existence. The thought of the snake is not there anymore. There's only rope was there. The same way also, this Prakriti which you talked about appears to be different or because of the power of Maya. So when Maya acts upon this, it appears to be different. But the Purusha is not affected by this. He is not affected by any of these changes happening in the Prakriti. Because even though the cause for the changes is Brahman or Purusha, but the changes in the Prakriti or the Maya itself does not touch the Purusha. But the Sankhya philosophy says other way around. So if Prakriti was a modified product, then definitely it will actually be touching all the Atma. Second theory we can take also, had Prakriti been real, like the Atma, then there will be no samsara. But we have samsara. We have sukham, dukkham, we go through changes, we have shad vikaraha, 6 different modifications, shad bhava vikaraha. So definitely Prakriti is actually only modified product. It is affected by Maya. So it is called Mithya. So Prakriti is not to be taken as the final thing. It doesn't have existence of its own. So this is what he is summarizing in this verse. Now let's go to the verse and see what he says here. Prakritim purusham chaiva, prakritim purusham chaiva, vidyanadi ubhavapi, vidyanadi ubhavapi, prakritim purusham chaiva, vidyanadi ubhavapi, vikaramscha gunaschaiva, vikaramscha gunamschaiva, Viddhi prakriti sambhavan, Viddhi prakriti sambhavan, Prakritim purusham chaiva, Vidyanadi ubhavapi, Vikaramscha gunamschaiva, Viddhi prakriti sambhavan. So Prakritim purusham cha evaha. Indeed, Prakriti and Purushaha. So, Prakriti, Purusham, Cha, Iva. So, that means Prakriti and Purusha here together or what? Viddihi, may you know. So may you know that Prakriti and Purushaha are Anadi. Anadi means there is no beginning. Beginningless, Anadihi. And may you also know what? That this is Vikaram Chaha. Means Vikara means modifications. So it is subject to modifications. So this Prakriti is subject to modifications. Then Gunaha Cha Evaha. So Guna also is there. So it's subject to the Gunas. Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, Tamo Guna. Then Prakriti Sambhavan, with the Prakriti Sambhavan. So may you know or please know that this Prakriti indeed is born out of this Purushaha, and because Prakriti is not independently existing outside of the Purushaha, thereby Prakriti also is Anadi. Just like Purusha also is Anadi. The power and the powerful cannot be separated. Powerful can exist only when there is power, right? So power has to be there for the powerful to be known. The same way here also. So Prakriti means that which is completely available for creation. Prakarshena kriti yogatvat prakritihi. Prakarshena kriti yogatvat iti prakritihi. So Prakritim Purusham cha eva vidya anadi vidhi anadi ubhavapi. See, ubhav api means what? Both. Ubhav means both. So ubhav api means in this way, both of them, Prakriti and Purushaha, are anadihi. And you may also know vidhi that it is subject to vikaraha, subject to modifications. And may you also know that it is subject to guna. So guna, modifications guna is possible, is there, and modifications in vikaram also is possible. And because of this, sambhavam cha gunam cha vidhi. See, later on he is going to talk about all these aspects, which is what the sense organs, sensory powers, manaha, buddhi, chit, ahankara, all of them, they undergo change. Today we have the hearing power. Tomorrow we may not have the hearing power. Today we can speak and chant. Tomorrow our throat may not be very good, we can't chant. We may have good eyesight today, tomorrow we will have cataract. So what are these? They are vikaraha. They are modifications. And these modifications, because they are not always changing, they cannot be taken as satyam. But these modifications are happening because of the Purusha being there. So the Purusha or the consciousness is taken satyam, the Prakriti and the modifications is not taken as satyam. This mithya. It is as though existing, but not absolutely true. So the Sankhya philosophy is other way around. Sankhya says that Purushaha is the experiencer, Bhoktaha, and Prakriti is the agent, or Prakriti is the one which creates the experiencer. So it's a completely opposite way of looking at things. So according to him, Purusha is the Atma and is Asangaha, and Prakriti being the cause of the creation is the one behind everything which is existing here. What do we say? because the consciousness is there, because of which everything exists here. So consciousness lends existence to the mind, and the same consciousness, which is called Chit, becomes Chidabhasaha. So Chid Abhasaha means what? That which takes the ownership and performs activities as though it is a consciousness. And this Chidabhasaha is something which is Sahaja Tadatmiyam, or it's a natural connection. It is something which you cannot avoid. You cannot say that in the morning when I wake up, I will separate Chid and Abhasaha. I will remain as consciousness all the time. You cannot physically remain consciousness all the time. Physically, you cannot do this, but cognitively, you can do this. Just as you cannot separate the wave from the water physically, but cognitively, you can understand the wave is nothing but the water. Another example also we can give is the magician, the magic, and the person, the experiencer of the magic. Three people are there. The magician and the magic. They are two different things from the perspective of the experiencer. Correct? So the magician is sitting on the stage, doing some activity, lifting some stone, something here and there. You are watching those things. And when you are watching those things, suddenly he brings out a rabbit from his sleeve, some money comes out, somebody gets stabbed through the box, you squeal and cry. So for a person who thinks the magic is real, you will get affected by the magic, correct? So you buy the ticket, go to the magic show expecting that you want to see a magic. And you also know the magic is not the truth. Is it right or wrong? You know that. Yet you still go and do that. Why? Because of ajnana. Because you want enjoyment. You are a bhokta, you want to get enjoyment, and you're doing that. But when you are enjoying that particular experience, you forget the magician, you forget the magic. You are only experiencing, correct? The same way, Jiva also, when it gets this Chidabhasaha infused in the body, mind, sense complex, the Jiva forgets this, the connection that there was a magician sitting there. It's an Atma sitting there somewhere. And there is a connection between the Atma and this infused mind. So blissfully ignorant about all these things, the Jiva continues to do activities. And because of this, it goes through the Punyam and Papam, undergoes the modifications, experiences pain and pleasure, and suffers in samsara. So a person who suffers or experiences samsara is called samsari. Samsari is a person who's always experiencing or living in samsara. But the magic, the magician who does the magic is not affected by the magic itself, correct? He may be doing so many things on the stage. You can see your experiences, you're enjoying, aha. So in the same way, Bhagavan also is saying, oh, these people are all enjoying, let them enjoy. Let them be under the spell for as long as they are. But when they have to come out of the spell, they have to know what magic was and who the magician is. Same way, if you want to come out of samsara, you need to know what Prakriti is, what Purusha is, or what Maya is and what consciousness is. When you understand that both are the same, there's no difference between the two. That means there are no two things. Just as the magic and the magician are not two different things. Can you separate the magic from the magician? You cannot. Can you separate the pot from the clay? You cannot. But we still see pot, we still see clay. So first you see the pot, then in the wake of understanding of the pot, what do you see? You say, oh, it's only a pot, but everything is only clay here. So you resolve the pot aspect, pot vritti in the clay. So what remains? Only clay remains. The same way you resolve all the prakriti, the creation aspect, etc., in the Purusha. So what remains? Only Purusha remains. Same way, the snake and the rope were two different things when you are looking at it. But when Jnanam takes over, then the rope, the snake disappeared. It didn't go anywhere else. The snake was never there. It was only an illusion. It's only a Maya. That's what it says here. The Jagat appears to be manifold because of the Prakriti. So Prakriti Sambhavancha Gunancha Viddihi. So understand that this Prakriti is possible because of the modifications of the Gunaha. So thus Maya is the cause for various modifications like the physical body, etc. And this has to be understood very clearly. So Gita makes it very clear here. Vikaramscha gunamschaiva. So two things are important. Vikaramscha gunamschaiva. So vikaraha means modifications, which is, and also the guna. Sattva guna, rajo guna, tamo guna. Right? And all these are born out of Prakriti here. And the Prakriti depends on Purushaha. So it's called Vivarta Upadhana Karanam. Vivarta Upadhana Karanam. So here, the Bhagavan or the Purushaha is the material cause and the efficient cause. Correct? Is this clear? This verse is clear to you? Then verse 20, he starts to explain more and gives a different dimension to this. Karya karana kartutve, karya karana kartutve, hetu prakriti ruchyate, hetu prakriti ruchyate, karya karana kartutve, hetu prakriti ruchyate, purusha sukha dukkhanam, purusha sukha dukkhana, bhoktutve hetu ruchyate, bhoktutve hetu ruchyate, karya karana kartutve, hetu prakriti ruchyate, purusha sukha dukkhanam, bhoktutve hetu ruchyate. So, karya, karana, kartrutve. So, karanam, when you say, are the sense organs. Karanam means the sense organs, organs of actions, intellect, manaha, buddhi, chit, ahankara are the karanam, or the instruments of knowledge. And karyam, when you say here, it means the effect, the physical body. The effect is the physical body. Karyam karana kartutve. So, because of this physical body, the kartutvam happens. The actions are being performed. So, hetuhu means the cause. So, this is the cause for the actions to be performed by the jivaha through the karanas, through the sensory organs, sensory powers, mind, manaha, buddhi, chit, ahankara, all put together is a body, mind, sense complex. So using this example, he says this is the reason why a person undertakes to do all the actions and becomes the karta. And this is called prakritihi iti uchyate. So we explained the class before also, this is the Prakriti. So Prakriti we saw in the previous verse is all the sensory organs, sensory powers, manaha, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, which compresses the body means in complex, is the product of Prakriti. So it's called Prakritihi iti uchyate. So it is called Prakriti. Then Purushaha Sukha Dukkhanam. So pleasure and pain. Sukha Dukkhanam is also said to be the cause of, because of Purushaha. So Purushaha Sukha Dukkhanam. What it means here, the Purushaha which is supposed to be untouched, untainted, is taken as the Chidabhasaha. So the Chidabhasaha is the one which is the reflected consciousness or manifested consciousness, that which gets illumined due to the power of the consciousness, and it takes, it's a copy of the consciousness and it continues to exist and behaves as though it is original consciousness. Why? Because it is naturally connected. So there is no physical connection, it is just connected the way it is. So you cannot do anything about it. You have to only separate them cognitively. And for that, you need to understand what is that one by which everything becomes known. So we have seen Kshetram Kshetragya Chapimam with the Sarva Kshetrashu Bharata. We saw the meaning before. We saw what is Kshetragya, what is Kshetram. Kshetram is talked about the physical body here. The Kshetragya is the one who is the indweller of the physical body. So Kshetragya enliven the physical body, and the physical body along with all the Karanas now takes the ownership as the Kshetragya and continues to do actions. And what action does it do? Because the action being performed, you or we tend to believe that Purushaha or the Atma is the one which is doing the actions. So Kartutve or Kartutvam means the act of doing or the doership exists. And because the doership exists, one goes through Sukham and Dukkham. Atma does not have a concept called Sukham and Dukkham, because Atma doesn't have any attributes. It is attributeless asangaha. Our Sukham and Dukkham, pain and pleasure, heat and cold, it doesn't affect the Atma, the consciousness. But it affects the Prakriti, the modified Prakriti, physical body, it affects. Correct. When a spider bites us, we feel the pain. But you cannot say, no, the Atma is getting bitten by the spider. Because Atma doesn't get bitten, because even if it gets bitten also, it doesn't cry. But the physical body is responsible with the guna, the modifications. Vikaramshaha. It enlivens all this touch, smell, etc. And through that, one gets experience. And this experience which is being seen is taken as Satyam. So Kartritvam comes into existence, then Bhoktritvam comes into existence. So you become the enjoyer of the, the doership, and the enjoyership comes into existence. Why? Because of the Prakriti. So Bhoktritve hetuhu iti uchyate. So the cause for the Bhoktritvam is because of this Purushaha which is being identified as the Satyam, or the manifested consciousness which is taken Satyam, and one continues to believe that this is what is Purushaha. But in reality, Purushaha is independent of this mind. It doesn't get tainted, it doesn't get touched. So one has to understand only cognitively. Physically, you cannot do anything. whenever you see any object or anything, you understand this object is seen because the mind is the one which tells the object is there. The same object which you see now in daylight or in night now, the same is not available for perception or understanding it in deep sleep state. So what happened in deep sleep state? In deep sleep state, there are no more vrittis coming there. There are no more thoughts rising. The mind also is there, but the mind is also resolved. The mind definitely is there. It's not sleeping. Mind is definitely as a third state because it's also a state of experience. So deep sleep state also is a state of experience, but because the manifesting medium is not there, the mind is not there, no more experience is possible. That's why we sleep very well. So Purna Avidya is there. Total ignorance is bliss. See, half knowledge is dangerous. Correct. If you have half knowledge, Ardha Jnanam is dangerous because Ardha Jnanam is in deep dream state. You are only half awake, you got only half knowledge. Only your mind is functional. And the rest of the body is not functional. In Purna Jnanam, which is when you are in waking state, you can discern, you can understand everything. You can logically argue everything, you can see everything, you can hear everything. But in deep sleep state, none of this is available. But you cannot take it for granted, it is not there. This Purusha is not there. Purusha is definitely there pretty much, but not available for experience or for transaction, vyavahara. The same Purusha, same thing, when the morning when you wake up, the Prarabdha Karma being there, as long as you got Prarabdha Karma, this connection will be there. The moment your Prarabdha Karma is over, for this Janma, you do not wake up from sleep, you go into deep, long deep sleep. Right. So as soon as you wake up, you remember all these things, everything comes into existence. It is because of this understanding. So, Karya Karana Kartutve Hetuhu. So, the reason for this is because of the Jnanam and Prakritihi Uchyate. So, Prakriti is the reason for this division. And this is caused because of the Maya. So, Karyam Karanam Kartutvaha. In the same way, Purushaha also is being now seen as Sukha Dukkhanam, or the enjoyer of Sukham and Dukkham. And then the Purusha is now called as the what? The enjoyer also. So it is a wrong notion, wrong perception. That is what is trying to tell. That this Prakriti is something which is modified form of matter, which doesn't exist independently of its own. Thereby it is called Mithya. It is not Tucham, but it is Mithya. Tucham means like rabbit's horn. Like rabbit's horn. A rabbit has a horn means something which is not there. If you tell you this rabbit has got two horns, you will know it is Tucham, it doesn't exist. Correct. But this is not the truth. This exists empirically, relatively, but not absolutely real. Is this clear? This was? Gopalji, is it clear to you? So now, Shankara asks another question. See, basically he is a person who puts a question, he also puts the objection also. So there's really nobody there called the objection. He understands our weaknesses. He understands, Adi Shankara understands that even though whatever he tells, there are always some misunderstanding or something will not be understood clearly. So he says, What is this so-called samsara? He describes it as experience of sukham and dukkham. So samsara is what? Experience of sukham and dukkham. So in Tamil we call dukkham kalanda inbam, or it's a mishran or a mixture of dukkham with sukham, where the proportion of dukkham is more and sukham is less. See, if we had all the sukhams, and then we'll be very happy. But we do not have. The proportion of dukkham is much more. So that is why this comes and goes. Sukham comes, dukkham comes. So it keeps oscillating between this emotional turbulence. So it's called samsara. And the person who undergoes this kartutva and bhoktutvam is called a samsari. And what is the cause of samsara? Ignorance, avidya. So, avidya is the reason for samsara. So, what does avidya do? Avidya, when you have ignorance, you have adhyasaha, or you have superimposition. So, you mistake one for the other. So, you mistake the Atma being the doer, kartutvam and bhoktutvam. And because of this ignorance, you become the doer. So you become a karta and a bhokta. So when you become the karta and then you get punyam and papam. So punyam and papam when it comes, who is to enjoy the punyam and papam? I cannot enjoy, or neither somebody can enjoy your punyam and papam. You only has to enjoy or exhaust the punyam and papam. Because the person is not aware that he is the Atma. He is aware that he is continuing to exist as the physical body and continues to do the actions. So the punyam and the papam, or the right and the wrong, everything is accumulated to his sanchita karma. Then he passes away in between. And due to the ajnanam still persisting, the sanchita karma still has got a lot of balance of punyam and papam. So depending upon how many satkarmas you do, or how many durkarmas you do, your balance position will change. So if there are so many good karmas you have done in this janma, then those karmas will actually generate a good birth. You could be born a human being, we could be born a human being also. It doesn't matter. We can assume that all of us who are studying now Shastram here, we are in this journey together. I'm definitely sure that we will definitely get another chance sometime or the other. We always have hope that whatever we couldn't continue or complete this janma, we'll be able to complete the next janma. That is how we are here. See, all the study which we are doing, it is not magic. You do not drop into a class, or you do not attend some classes just because you like it. It is nothing like that. It is actually ordained for you. It is you're ordained to learn this because you have done some purva karmas in the previous janma. You have done in this janma some contemplation, some studies, which is clamoring, which is triggering this particular study. So many people are there in this universe. Everybody knows Bhagavad Gita, everybody is studying there. But how many people really study systematically, sincerely? Not many people. So we always have a hope that if at all avidya continues, ignorance continues, but due to satkarma, we will be able to get a better body next time, and the next janma will be a platform for us to learn further and then improve. This is only for the person who thinks a physical body. See, this concept is only for the person who thinks he is a karta and bhokta. We should go the assumption that we are not the karta and bhokta. We are not the enjoyer nor the doer. The doership and enjoyership are done independently by the karanas, by the sense organs, sensory powers. They have their own dharma. Netra dharma means what? It is to see. The eye does not need to be told that you have to see. Is that correct? See, the eye does not need to be told that you are the eye, therefore you should see. When you open the eye, it sees. When you are feeling hungry, you do not need to do anything great. No, I am eating. So you are eating, of course. But who is the eater has to be understood, correct? So I am digesting. So are you really digesting? Who is digesting? So this is all a wrong conception. See, when you understand this philosophy behind it, we just casually say, I am eating, I am dancing, I am walking, I am talking. All these activities are what? I am. This is ahankara. Right? That's what it is. I am this, I am this, I am this. So somehow, when in the wake of jnanam, when you resolve this ahankara, or when you understand what it is and resolve it for good, then you do not make further mistakes or further adhyasaha, adhyaropaha. Okay. So verse 21, we will look at it. Purushah prakrististo hi bhunte prakriti jan gunan Purushah prakrististo hi bhunte prakriti jan gunan karanam gunasangosya sada sadyoni janmasu. Sada sadyoni janmasu. Actually, I didn't see this verse. I just told you before. So the same thing talks about here. See, Purushah prakristihi tatha. So this Purushaha prakristihi tatha. So the Purushaha being enjoyer. So here you should take the Purushaha here as Jiva. So Shankara says here that the Purushaha here is a person who is a Jiva here. See, in some words in the Bhagavad Gita, Atma is the consciousness. Some words, Atma is the physical body. Here also, the Purushaha is supposed to be the consciousness, but here, in this context, in this verse, the word Purushaha means Jivaha, the enjoyer. So, Bhungtehe means what? The person who enjoys. And this person, Prakritihi Jan Gunan, means this person is born out of attributes, or the attributes born out of the Prakritihi Bhungtehe. So, because of the attributes born of Prakritihi, this Purushaha now is taken as a Jiva. So, the Jiva now comes into existence. Really speaking, there is no Jiva at all. So, there is nothing called Jiva, Jivatma. It is only Paramatma. But due to the wrong association or the wrong understanding, the Jiva comes into existence. So, here also, due to the wrong perception, due to the Prakriti being active on this, the same Purushaha now is being taken as Jiva. And then Bhungtehe, he enjoys. Then, how does he enjoy? Guna Sangaha Asya. So, he gets connected to the gunas. His attachment for the attributes is confirmed. So Karanam, so this becomes the Karanam. So due to the attachment of this person to the gunas, Guna Sangha Asya, Karanam Sad Yonihi Janmasu. So, Sad Asad Yoni. So it means what Sad, some people, because of the association of the attributes of the gunas, some gets born in a higher birth. So Yoni Janmasuna, Yoni means the womb. So it says some people get born in the womb of the next Janma in a lower capacity or some in a higher capacity. So depending upon how you approach and how you are connected with the attributes and how you become the Karta and the Bhokta, that determines your next birth. So we must always be doing Satkarma. Satkarma means always be committed to doing what we are doing now, studying Shastram, making an effort to understand what the Shastram says about the Atma being the Karta and the Shariram or the Prakriti, which is called the body, mind, sense complex here, being the Karta. So Atma is a Karta and the physical body, mind, sense complex is the Karta. And it enjoys existence, it enjoys because it is its nature. It is Dharma. Dharma of the tongue is to talk, or to enjoy, taste. When you say, I am breathing, are you making an effort to breathe? You're not. You're just sitting there and air just moves around, Vayu goes around, and you're just inhaling and exhaling. If you do an activity called inhaling, exhaling also, you're still, same air is being circulated. Correct? When you say I'm walking, are you making an effort to walk? Do you take an effort to take one leg and put there? No. Just walk means you just walk. So any activity performed, blinking of an eye, hearing, tasting, smell, touch, all of these activities which you say, they are happening on their own. The physical body does the activities. If you want to go wherever you want to go, you have to go. Because you cannot say that, no, I will control. You cannot. But, there's a story about Akbar and Birbal. Long time ago I read it. So Birbal is supposed to be one of the wisest, minister in the Akbar court. And Akbar always likes to, put some strange ideas just to test his ministers. So he put some question to the court saying that, what is it that you cannot control? Everybody says you cannot control hunger, you cannot control this, you cannot control the desire to buy things. So the minister all comes and says a lot of things. Our Birbal says that to answer your question, I'll have to show you physically. He said, I cannot just explain like this because it is not possible for him to explain. So he says, you give me an audience, I will take you. So he takes the king and the couple of ministers are there. He takes them on a boat ride. They go for a lengthy boat ride. The boat is going and going and going up. And all these ministers who are sitting there, they become uncomfortable. Even Akbar also is uncomfortable because he has got nature's call coming there. And Akbar has told that you cannot do anything unless I tell you. And I'll have to prove it to you. So all the ministers, they ask, do you have any problem? He says, no. Are you hungry? No, I'm not hungry. Are you having headache? No. Are you having desire to go and jump in the water? No. So what is it that? Don't please talk to me anything about it. Now my urgent desire is, my urgent this. We have to somehow do this. So the desire to all these things, was it created before he left the court? No. It was already there in dormant position. Correct. It only manifested. So you cannot say that he created desire to prove something. So what it means is there, all the activities, see, Ajnanam only. All the ministers are Ajnanam only. Birbal is a little bit more intelligent and he understands the philosophy behind this. So in the same way, all activities which you do, they are already pre-programmed. They do not need to be, you don't have to be told anything. You just act according to what is there. But somehow due to the sangaha, correct? So gunaha sanga asyaha karanam. So due to the association of this guna sangaha, because of this sad asad yoni janmasu. So somebody gets born in a higher lokaha or a higher family, somebody gets born in a lower kulaha. So it is possible that due to all the punyam, we can be born in a better, closely panditaha, the family of panditaha. So everybody will be studying Shastram, grammar, Vyakaranam, Nirukta, everything is studying there. Somebody who has not done anything at all, Janma at all, just enjoying all the pleasures of life, you could be born in some family who doesn't know anything at all. That's what it says here. So, pure punyaha sad yonihi. So, asad yonihi means what? Animals. Correct. Of pure papam. So, the animals are of pure papaha. There is no punyam there. That's why they are animals. Right? But a human being is born out of mixture of punyam and papam. Devatas are born only because of punyam. Devatas, they are in different loka because they are only punyam is there. There's no papam there. Human, this mrityu lokaha is the only place where we have punyam and papam mixed together. Right? And this is the cause for this is the gunas. So the wheel of samsara thereby continues as long as you have connection with the gunas or connection with the attributes. And it can never stop. Samsara is like a round wheel. There's not a linear path where you can say that you start at this point, you end at this point. It is a circular. So you are in the middle. And what do you do? As the wheel turns, you are also turning in the middle. You just keep turning all the time without knowing where to stop. So therefore, the knowledge of Purusha is necessary to free you from samsara or free samsara. That's what it says here, verse number 22. We will look at this briefly and then next class we'll continue with this. Upadrishtanumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaraha Upadrashtanumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaraha Paramatmeti chapyukto Dehesmin Purushah Paraha Upadrashtanumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaraha Paramatmeti chapyukto Dehesmin Purushah Paraha. So Upadrashtaha or Upadrashtaha means the ultimate seer. See, in the Dirdishaveka, when we study, the next class, the fundamentals of Vedanta, after Bhajagovindam is there, we will somehow study this topic. In that, there are 3 seers are being talked about. Seer number 1, seer number 2, and ultimate seer. So, seer number 1 is called the sensory organs. Sensory powers, sensory organs. Okay. So, they are the person who go and see things. So they are called the officers of the office. Officers. So what is the officer's job is to go and see. So your boss says, you are an officer, you go and see and come back and report. So you prepare a report. And the report is seen by the manager. Who is the manager there? The mind. Right. So the mind is the one who manages all these people, different officers. So I've got the eyes, the ears, etc. They are the officers. They go and do the job as they are told. And they go and report, this is what I saw, this is what I experienced, this is what it is, this is how it looks like, and this is a taste, everything the mind comes back and, aha, very good. So now you go and do this. So the mind, depending upon where your interest is, the mind tells, so you like that particular thing, why don't you go and do that? So this is how the seer number 2 and the seer, they operate together. They keep always connecting together. So the mind also does not know that there's something sitting behind called the consciousness, which is the one which is witness Sakshi there, witnessing everything. But not witnessing is not an action, it is Swarupam of the witness. So witnessing, a Sakshi does not do an action called witnessing. By its nature of is being the nature Swarupam, it witnesses everything. So ultimate seer is the consciousness. The final seer is consciousness. So here also Upadrishtaha. Upadrishtaha means the ultimate seer or the final seer. Anumantaha. So Anumantaha means Anumati or the permitter. Anumati means permission. And Anumanta means the one who permits or the permitter. So Upadrishtaha, Anumantaha, Cha. Bhartaha. So Bharta means what? Not Bharta. Not your wife or husband. Bharta. My Bharta is there. So Bharta is a very loosely term. Bharta means here the one who is sustainer of the universe. Sustainer. So Bharta. The one who holds everything is called Bharta. Sustainer. So Upadrashta, ultimate seer. Anumanta, the permitter. Cha means and. Bharta. Then Bhokta, the enjoyer, is what? Maheshwaraha. See, the ultimate seer, the ultimate permitter, ultimate sustainer, ultimate enjoyer is none other than Maheshwaraha. So there is nobody called an enjoyer, nobody called sustainer, permitter. Everything is Ishwaraha here. Everything is Parameshwaraha or this Purushaha. Then Paramatma iti cha uktaha. So Paramatma iti cha uktaha. I mean, this is called the Paramatma or the one which is called the limitless Lord. Parama Atma. So Atma itself means limitlessness, or the Atma is consciousness. So Paramatma means what? That which is even Parapara, Paratah Paraha. That which is even beyond the manifested knowledge. So Paramatma cha ukta iti dehaha asmin purushah paraha. So in this body also, dehaha asmin, in this body also, this Purushaha is limitless. So understanding that in this physical body there is an Atma, Purushaha, that which is limitless, just as the ultimate seer, the permitter, sustainer of the universe is none other than the enjoyer of the universe also is the Bhagavan. So there is no experiencer, there is no enjoyer, there is no creator, sustainer, ultimate seer, other than the Bhagavan, Purushaha. So everything goes into Purushaha. See, yat Purushena Havishaha Deva Yajnamatan Mataha. Right. So Vasantaha Asya Sita Jamhum Grishma Idna Sharad Tavihi. Right. So just as all the Rituhu, Grishma Rituhu, Sharad Rituhu, all of them come in from the same Purushaha. So the seasons also come and go, change, because they are ordained to be like this. But the seasons are also coming from the same Purusha. So sun, moon, that's why Purusha Suktam also same thing talked about. See, Purusha Sukta Bhashya, when you see what you're talking about Thursdays, it talks about the creation in the same order. So Purusha is actually not touched, untainted by all this creation which is there. From the Purusha, everything comes into existence, then enjoys existence, then at the end of the enjoyment, everything goes back into same Purusha. So there is nothing really called creation. There is only an appearance, totram, manifestation. Same thing says here, Upadra. So knowledge of the Purusha. So we'll do the elaborate Bhashya next class. Upadrishtanumanta cha vartha bhokta maheshwaraha paramatmeti chapyukto dehesmin purushah paraha. So this ultimate seer, permitter, the sustainer, enjoyer, the limitless Lord creator. So Paramatma iti means what? The ultimate creator, Paramatma iti, is none other than called Purushaha. And how is Purushaha? Dehe spin paraha. So aspin dehe paraha. I mean that which is in me, and it is beyond everything else. It cannot be seen by natural eyes or natural experience. You need a vision. You need knowledge. And only in knowledge only this Purushaha can be understood. And again, this Purushaha also was understood, cannot be talked about. You cannot go and narrate everybody saying that, oh, I finally found out what the Atma is. I finally found Purusha is. He is living inside the physical body. I can feel him. I can talk to him. These are all not correct way of understanding. Because Purushaha does not talk, because he doesn't have any tongue. It doesn't have any ears. So when you have Purna Jnanam, yet do not disclose anything, you do not use understanding is enough. So that is called final culmination of knowledge. So there the concept of Brahman is not discussed at all, because Brahman cannot be yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha anandam brahmano vidvan na viveti kadachaneti. Hope you know that Brahmananda Valli. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha anandam brahmano vidvan na viveti kadachaneti. So a person knows anandam brahmano vidvan. For such a person, na vibetihi. So vibeti means fear. Kadachaneti. For such a person, there is no fear of anything. What is he fearing about? But death also resolved. Physical body, death is going to go on one day. So you understand that, okay, it is going to go one day. I'm not worried about that. But I'm not a physical body. I am this Purushaha, the consciousness. This knowledge is very much residing in the person. Because of that, he is free from samsara. Is it clear? So this verse I'll explain to you next class. I've just done only just an introductory class for this one, but we will go through a little bit elaborate detail next class. Any questions from today's class? Anyone has got? Okay. Hemaji, you are able to follow so far? Radhaji,
yes, Shankarji, I'm good with you. Thanks.
Radhaji, you are okay?
Yes, Ji. Yes, Ji. Everything good, Ji.
Okay. So I'll post a recording after the class, and you are more than welcome to go to the recording. And I'm in the process of developing a new website for Arshavidya Australia.
Oh, fine.
So Swaminiji is after me for quite some time now. So I had to, it's a pending job which I've been having for many weeks. I haven't had time to do it, but I'm in the process of doing something. So eventually all the videos, all of them will be migrated into that one. I will tell you when it's ready. It's still under very, very nascent stage. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tatsate Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Namaste. Shubhratri to all of you. Hari Om.